Classical music legends like Beethoven and Paganini are returning to the stage through Korean original musicals. Rather than being portrayed as distant figures from history books, they are being reimagined as artists struggling with passion, ambition, and personal conflict. Now, today, we'll explore how these iconic musicians are brought back to life on stage with culture critic Professor Chie Hye-won at Kyung Hee University. Welcome back, Professor Chie.
Hello, Professor.
Hello, good afternoon.
All right, so it looks like there are more and more Korean musicals or Korean original musicals that are based on famous musicians and composers from the past. So first off, what are some notable examples?
Right, there are several Korean original musicals created based on the famous musicians or composers. The musical Rachmaninov it deals with the true story of Russian pianist Rachmaninov, and while the Salieri is a work depicting the life of Antonio Salieri, a composer who suffered from jealousy and inferiority complex toward the genius Mozart. So there is also Anna Tchaikovsky, which is based on the life of a Russian's representative composer Tchaikovsky, and the musical Paganini, as you just mentioned, which covers the life of the violinist and composer Niccolò Paganini. There are also two different musicals about the greatest master, Ludwig van Beethoven. The smaller production, Ludwig, Beethoven, the piano, and the EMK Musical Company's Beethoven.
Okay.
Which is just opened.
So let's talk about Beethoven and the details of it. So the production has attracted considerable attention, especially because of the main roles, and they are played by Park Hyo-shin and also Hong Kwang-ho. And so they are sharing the title role, which we usually see a lot in musicals. But what different qualities or interpretations can we expect from these two?
Right, the Park Hyo-shin and Hong Kwang-ho are both outstanding musical stars, musical actors whose talent is actually indistinguishable. So, as Park Hyo-shin played Beethoven in the original production, so he is expected to bring a deep understanding of the character and sensibility to this returning production. So, and furthermore, as a top musical star, Hong Kwang-ho is anticipated to showcase a solid and stable acting along with an immersive performance that will definitely overwhelm the audience members. So in particular, it is said that Hong Kwang-ho put tremendous effort into the Beethoven's piano playing on stage. So I think it will be an added pleasure for sure.
Okay.
I think a large majority around the world would know at least one Beethoven composition. I mean, he's so well known. But how are they interpreted in the musical, and what can audiences look forward to, do you think?
Yeah, that's right. In this musical, Beethoven's a lot of the familiar songs or familiar numbers, so the audience member can enjoy the different feeling from that. So the Beethoven's Symphony No. 5, Fate, is used as a theme of the fate that runs through the entire work. And additionally, Piano Sonata No. 14, Moonlight, Symphony No. 7, Allegretto, and Symphony No. 9, Choral add the depths of the narrative and intimately convey the Beethoven's life. Furthermore, in this newly enhanced production, the Piano Concerto No. 5 and No. 3 have been added, expanding the musical spectrum. So one of the charm of this work is that audience can discover the joy of the familiar melodies, penetrating Beethoven's life and being reinterpreted within it.
And there's another work we want to look into a little bit more detail, Paganini. And that one opens on June 20th. And I'm actually going to watch it on the opening day because one of the actors, Lee Jun-hyuk, who plays Colin Bonheur, he's actually my musical and actor teacher. So shout out to him. Yes. So Paganini is also very famous for being known as the devil's violinist. So could you tell us more about this work and what's unique about it?
Right. The musical Paganini is a Korean original musical that deals with the musical passion of Niccolò Paganini, the genius violinist who swept across Europe in the 19th century. And this musical actually deals with the Inquisition that took place after his death. So this work tells the story of the Paganini's son, Achille. As he endures a 36-year religious trial to prove that his father wasn't just an ordinary human being and a pure artist, not a devil. So what makes this production special is that the use of actor-musicians on stage, allowing audiences to hear the actors perform on stage live on stage. In particular, the actors playing Paganini completely overwhelmed the audiences by performing violin solo on stage for several minutes, including his signature piece, La Campanella.
So looking forward to that, especially because I actually used to play the violin.
You did?
Yeah, so that's why I really like to go to not only to concerts of violinists, but especially with that musical together combined. Looking forward to that even more.
It's gonna be your first time to see this show, or
yes,
is it?
the first time.
Excited.
Yes, I watched the movie Paganini before, I think, but not the musical.
Okay.
Professor, you would know that there is a very big difference between film and TV acting and as well as musical acting. So do you know whether the actors were either trained musicians before, or did they have to learn to play for the role? And I hear more and more musicals have actors perform instruments on stage themselves.
Right.
Like a lot of actors, even on film though, they even practice guitar or whatever it may be. What's behind this trend, do you think?
Right. In the case of the musical Paganini, there is a mixed cases where the actors who were originally professional musicians ventured into the actings, and the cases where singers or musical stars, musical actors participated playing the violin, especially for this production. So for example, professional violinist Kon and Hong Seok-ki participated in this production as actors. And while former idol Hong Ju-chan learned the violin just for this production, this character. So the actor-musician has taken the stage in the licensed productions as well, including Once and Midnight. So personally, the first musical featuring actor-musicians that I saw was the 2005 Broadway revival production of Sweeney Todd. So the director John Doyle actually introduced the actor-musician format in Stephen Sondheim's The Sweeney Todd, and the following year in Company, so which gained immersed popularity at the end. Which is leading an increases in works adapting this approach, including here in Korea, actually. Yeah.
I think it's really not easy to,
Not easy
learn
at all.
an instrument. Yeah. And I mean, it might even be easier to, I'm not going to say easier, but you might also have a very great instrument player who would rather start learning acting, like vice versa. I mean, that's how difficult it is to really get perfect in playing an instrument.
And adding to that, there is a difference in performance when you can tell someone can't play the instrument as well. If you're if you're a violinist, for instance, and you watch someone falsely play the violin, it's kind of it takes you out of the scene. So it's really helpful to learn. Now, we're talking about some of the most famous musical figures in history, of course, like Beethoven. But the musicals don't simply retell the lives of, for instance, Beethoven. What new perspectives or reinterpretations are the Korean creators adding?
Right, both Beethoven and Paganini broke broke away from the documentary style structure of simply listing the figures' chronologies. So they centering on the clear themes of love and salvation for Beethoven and the Inquisition and honor for Paganini. So they dramatically adapted and reinterpreted the lives of these individuals, going beyond their roles as just musicians. So furthermore, both work demonstrate a distinct charm while being very similar in that they utilize the family, younger brother or son, so standing by the main character as the core driving force of the narrative. and create the fictional characters as well, and in conflict with the Beethoven's or the Paganini to unleash the dramatic tension.
Now, Professor Chie, K-pop these days is very accessible. We hear it every day around the world.
Right.
But in the case of classical music, it's often viewed as a little difficult or a little
unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar or not that approachable, such as compared to K-pop, for instance.
Right.
So it seems like these productions that we just talked about, they try to introduce it to a wider audience in many ways. So for viewers who might not be very familiar with classical music, would there be any tips on how to make these experiences more enjoyable?
Right, for audience members little familiar or unfamiliar with the classical music, it would be beneficial to enjoy how familiar melodies, at least a little bit, a very short part, the heard in everyday life transformed into the modern musical numbers during the performance. In the audiences, if the audience is engaged with the on-stage performance alongside with the actors' desperate dialogue and emotions, and understand the music within the context of the characters' lives during the performance, I believe they can naturally immerse themselves in the charm of classical music.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Chie, for your insights as always, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Walter, as always. Have a great weekend, and we're going to see you back here next week.
See you next week.